What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a new series that was released on Shudder that I've been looking forward to for quite some time now, for a multitude of reasons. For starters, this is a series that is a continuation of the Creep films, Creep 1 and 2, which I made a video on both of those movies quite some time ago, a few years ago, and talked about just my immense love for both of those films. I think they're so creative and unique, especially in the found footage genre, where I feel like I love found footage films, but a lot of times some of the tropes in those movies can become a little tiresome. And I think while the Creep idea might not necessarily be anything new, the way that it's approached and handled and the way that it's written really creates a unique viewing experience. And I've been looking forward to whatever the third iteration of this series was going to be. And so it was announced that it was going to be this series on Shudder of episodes. And I think because of what Creep is, this is really one of the best ways to continue it, to keep it fresh and exciting and interesting. And the other reason I was looking forward to watching this is because I'm a huge fan of Mark Duplass. I've been a big fan of his career for a very long time, following him and his brother as directors. I've watched all of their filmography, a lot of the projects they've produced. Hell, I even love Mark's musical project, Volcano. I'm still excited. They did one album and it's incredible. I just love Mark for everything that he represents. I think he's a really incredible voice for the independent film community, and he's made some really amazing projects. And his collaborative effort here with Patrick Brice, who is also a phenomenal independent director, I just look forward to these two collaborating. They make some really great content, and I'm very excited to tell you about the Creep tapes today. The Creep Tapes is directed by Patrick Brice. A secluded serial killer lures videographers into his world with the promise of a paid job documenting his life. Unfortunately, as the tape rolls, the killer's questionable intentions surface with his increasingly odd behavior, and the victims learn they may have made a deadly mistake. So I was really excited to watch this. As I said, I'm a huge fan of the first two Creep films, and this was incredible. You can give me 1,000 episodes of this, and I would never get tired of it. I think this is the perfect continuation of this series because it's 20 to 25 minute episodes. Each episode you're introduced to a new victim, but what makes it great is you get the gist. So the first Creep film is all about the mystery of who Mark Duplass's character is, and then the second film is kind of expanding on it a little bit, but doing it in a way that's like in the first 5 minutes he tells the person, hey, I'm a killer, and it's them kind of internally trying to see, like, is this guy just messing with me or is he telling the truth? And I think both of those as full-length features work really well. But as far as continuing it, knowing who his character is now, this is a way to keep it fresh and exciting. And what I really like about this, not only is each episode just a fun thrill ride to watch, but each and every episode I feel like has some level of commentary that's just really fascinating. And I love the way that Mark and Patrick are able to incorporate those themes into each and every episode. And I'm excited to tell you a little bit about it today. So if you're unfamiliar with Creep as a whole, I'd recommend you just go watch it because it's incredible. But in Creep, we're introduced to Mark Duplass's character, who is a serial killer, and he goes by many different names throughout the entire iteration of the series. We're not 100% sure what his real name is. All we know about him is he's constantly going online, hiring these videographers for these jobs. They show up. He's always seemingly kind of inviting and normal, and he wants to like form this relationship with people, but like very quickly it goes south and he ends up murdering them normally. And what makes it so captivating is Mark Duplass as an actor, he's just very charismatic. He's very easy to watch because he's funny, he's charming, and he also plays menacing really well. And I love how even this far into it all, we know his character's motivations, but he can still surprise us. And so this series is 6 episodes long, and every single episode is him with a different victim. And we get a wide array of different episodes. One of my favorites of the entire series is he hires this guy who is like a kind of like a gotcha videographer, and he's going to this house where he's supposed to be meeting a priest, and he's gonna like expose the church. And Mark's performance in that episode is just like one of the best things I've ever seen, not just on the really intellectual commentary about the church, but like it's just so funny. It's like able to take this really poignant commentary but also make it incredibly hilarious. There's an episode where he brings on this guy guy who was a documentary filmmaker who he like acts like he's obsessed with the guy's documentary, and that it paved the way for all of these different and new documentaries along the way. It's really great because it's looking at the independent film industry as a whole. And because Mark is someone who has made his way in that industry, he knows the good and the bad. And I think that the way that the commentary is presented, it's absolutely hilarious, but it's also very thoughtful. And that's what makes this show so engaging. Like I said, what really holds this show together is Mark's incredible performance. I think he's such a great actor, and I've seen him throughout the years in so many incredible projects that I love so much. But this is really the role that I feel like he shines in because it showcases his range as an actor. He has to go from incredibly inviting to menacing to back to kind of just goofy. It's very dark. He really goes for it in a lot of episodes in this series, and I appreciate it that it kind of shows his unhinged side so well. And what I love about the first two Creep films is we learn little bits and pieces about his character, but we never fully understand him, which is what I like so much about this property. But what I loved about this show is we had a couple more episodes that kind of dive a little bit more into his psyche without completely and totally revealing everything about his character. There's one episode in particular in a hotel room that's kind of like his internal struggle with Peach Fuzz, which if you've watched the first two Creep films, Peach Fuzz is the reference to the mask he wears, which we've learned as the series goes on seems to be this kind of like persona that he takes on. And there's a really phenomenal episode in a hotel room that I thought was just so brilliantly done, examining a little bit more about his character without giving everything away. And then in the final episode of the series, we're introduced to his mother, who is brilliantly portrayed by Krisha Fairchild. She does a phenomenal job in that episode, which gives us a little bit more insight into his character. But like I said, not so much to where it's just spelling everything out for you. It's like there's still room to build who this guy is and what exactly his deal is. Because obviously he wants to kill people, but like he has this yearning and desire for a relationship, but it always turns sour. And like in the first film, especially with Patrick Brice's character, it becomes this intense need be around this person in an incredibly unhealthy way, which leads to him acting violently. And I think that it's so interesting to think about that as this goes on, like this guy's desire for companionship, and he doesn't want to be alone, and he doesn't want to live his life by himself, but at the same time, all of the relationships that he has end in the same way. The person dies. And I think it's really fascinating to think about that as like people's desire for friendship and longing for companionship. Like, obviously, that in real life doesn't necessarily end in death, but it can end poorly and relationships can go sour. And I think it's a really fascinating commentary on that. But this series provides so much more. Like I said, the episode about religion or the independent film industry, there's just so many amazing bits of commentary throughout these episodes. And I just really appreciate Mark and Patrick for that. For found footage, it always looks great. They do a really good job. You know, it's rough around the edges camera work because it's supposed to be, but there's so much attention to detail and little reveals and where the camera is placed. And I love that. It's not just like someone carrying around a camera. There's definitely intentionality there. And that's because Patrick Brice is a really great filmmaker, and him and Mark working together, they're just two great minds that come together to create this really incredible product. And like I said, it's just complete and utterly enjoyable. I loved every single second of it. I just wished it were longer. And I really hope that Shudder gives Mark and Patrick the opportunity to do more, because there's so much more they can do with this. They could keep this thing going realistically as long as they want. And that's what I like so much about it, is that they can keep it going. It's still fresh and exciting. And I look forward to hopefully more in the future. So have you seen the Creep tapes? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this was incredible, and it's exactly what I wanted from this Creep property. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.